camera, so I'm really happy to do it now on camera.
Me too. Me too. So we're just going to do a warm-up round, just a little bit about you for this segment. You are a former CIA operative. You've worked all over the world. Everyday carry is a big topic on this channel. It always has been. And so what I'm wanting to know is, what does the everyday spy carry on them every day?
Yeah, when it comes to everyday carry, there's a lot of misconceptions about spies and EDC. Because a spy's job is to be covert. A spy's job is to blend in. So anything that we carry on us has to be something that blends in, that doesn't draw attention, and that withstands something that we call cover scrutiny. Because if somebody stops us, if a police officer stops us, or if a child bumps into us, or if we get hit by a car and an ambulance comes to help us, we have to fit within our cover identity. So what we carry on us is a big part of what identifies your true affiliation, your true identity. So if you can imagine a spy getting hit by like a motorcycle in Vietnam, that's a normal occurrence. Like getting hit by a traffic in Vietnam is pretty common. If an ambulance rolls up to you and you're carrying a Glock, or you're carrying a hidden knife, and especially if it's got some kind of seal on it that associates you with, the U.S. government or U.S. military, all of a sudden you don't look like whatever your cover legend was. Business person, traveling tourist, whatever it might be. So our everyday carry is very, very different from that of the average person. So a couple things. One, we always wear shoes with laces. It sounds silly, but we always wear shoes with laces because you've got to always be ready to beat feet. Whether you're trying to run away or run towards something, laced shoes are far superior to sandals, to slip-ons, to anything else, right? We also always carry $100, US dollars. Depending on where we are in the world, most places in the world, $100 US dollars gets you pretty much anywhere you need to go.
Really? $100?
$100 US dollars gets you pretty much anywhere you need to go in 80% of the world.
Have you used that before?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Can you give us an example?
Yeah, so I've gotten myself across rivers and across national borders in Southeast Asia because I had US currency in $5 and $10 denominations. Just wave over a fishing vessel and be like, hey, I need to get to that side of the river. That side of the river is the difference between being in Thailand or being in Burma sometimes. Mm-hmm. And they don't really care. They don't, to have a $5 US bill, that's the equivalent of 150 Thai currency and that's 150 pieces of Thai currency if it was Thai currency. The fact that it's a US dollar bill actually brings more value than if it was the currency of the local country, because now they have a US dollar, a US bill along with it, right? A minted US bill.
I would totally agree with that. What about first world countries?
First world countries gets a little bit trickier because in a first world country, your Germanys, your Polands, your Romanias, it's a little bit tough because they are built around the euro. Sometimes the euro has more value than the US dollar, mm-hmm. but there's still an element of the fact that the US dollar has been the chief currency of the world. So they still are happy to take US dollars. They're still happy to take US currency, and they're also still happy to take cash for services. Because again, unlike the United States is a legalistic country. Like, as much as people complain about corruption and deceit and whatever else in the United States, it does not compare at all to what exists in Europe, right? Prostitution is legal in Germany. You can get basically anything you want in the Caucasus or even as far as Romania, and Romania is a NATO country. Mm-hmm. You can grease the skids anywhere, into any political office, into any business deal, into any manufacturing deal. With US dollars, with currency. You can, whether you want to call it a bribe or whether you want to call it a service fee, whatever you want to call it, there's a lot of flexibility in certain morals that here in the United States we've legalized or we've legalistically constrained. So that's why $100 in US currency is absolutely on my everyday carry list.
Interesting. I totally agree with you. I've done it as well, but in first world countries, $100 is, I've personally found to be a little bit harder to bribe with.
It's
so what I'm asking
country
is,
specific.
Do you Okay. Do you up the dollar amount when you're in first world countries?
Yes. So I'll move it up to more. Like if I know that I'm going, specifically if I know I'm going to Europe, that number doubles. It becomes 200 US dollars, right? And what really happens is it becomes 100 US and 100 in local currency.
Okay.
But they'll still be, and that's untouchable money. That's not the spending money. That's the money that gets stuck into like an extra crevice in the wallet. And then I actually put my ATM money on top of that. So your 60, 80, 70 euros, whatever it's going to be that you get through the day with. But your emergency, because EDC is about emergency, really.
Yeah.
It's about being there when you need it. So that 100 US and 100 local currency or 200 local currency, Europe is good because euros are accepted everywhere for the most part. But it sucks. It sucks to get stuck in a European country where euros are not used as the main currency. And then they don't know whether the euro is real or not, but they do trust the US dollar. There's all sorts of stuff that gets sticky. In the United States, even in the United States, a first world country, 100 US dollars is actually quite effective. That's more than enough to get a cabbie to take you somewhere for cash. That's more than enough to get a driver to at least give you a ride somewhere. Like you can do a lot. That's if you wave down somebody outside of a freaking Costco or a Walmart and you give them $100 in cash, dude, they'll take you pretty much anywhere.
Yeah.
Right? Uber drivers drive 16 or 30 miles to get paid $16. Like it's never underestimate the value of cash. Plus, cash specifically is untraceable. Credit cards leave a trail. Venmo leaves a trail. There's digital pixie dust on everything, but cash is still something that you can use so that nobody can track it. So that makes you safe, but it also makes whoever helps you safe because neither of you can be linked together and neither of you can be linked back to the transaction.
Speaking of currency, do you carry anything else with currency? Like, for an example, when I was working at the agency, I purchased a Rolex because Rolex is universal. Everybody knows what it is. It's always on you, and so it's real easy to, here you go.
So what I'll actually do, the problem with material goods is that material goods, like a Rolex, require 2 steps before it can be liquidated. So you might give somebody a Rolex, but then they've got to actually go and pawn it, trade it, sell it, whatever else. And sometimes you need a favor that isn't a Rolex favor, right? So what I would actually recommend is instead use, especially if you're not in a covert capacity, get an international credit card, right? This is one of the things that I tell people all the time. Find yourself a Chase, a USA Bank, even an American Express, because you're going to pay $250 a year to have that American Express, but you could be anywhere in the world and run that thing through an ATM and have instant local currency. So now, if you need a $50 favor, you run the credit card, you got a $50 favor. You need a $500 favor, you run the credit card, you got a $500 favor. You need a $5,000 favor, you run the credit card, you got a $5,000 favor. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's so much easier. It's traceable because it puts your credit card in that machine, but that's it. Nobody knows what it was for after that.
Okay. Interesting.
So I would say laced shoes, everyday carry. International credit card, everyday carry. $100 US if you're in a third world or developing country. $200 US if you're in the United States or if you're in a first world country. And then the only thing we carry on top of that, or the only thing I would recommend carrying on top of that, is a literal, what's the word I'm looking for? Whenever you weatherize a piece of paper. Help me out here.
A laminated.
Thank you. A laminated short list of the 7 most important phone numbers to you, right? Mother-in-law, mother, father-in-law, son, daughter, sisters, whatever it might be. Because if you're incapacitated, that weatherproof piece of paper, that laminated piece of paper, is something EMTs can use, police can use, people can reference. If you're busted up in the face, you can point, and people can find the phone number that you need. If your phone dies, if your phone is stolen, right? People don't steal a piece of laminated paper. And you can carry it in your wallet. You can carry it in your freaking sock. You can carry it in your chest pocket. You can carry it anywhere you want to and not have to worry about sweat, rain, or anything else. Those are the 4 things that we're trained to carry all the time, because it doesn't matter what covert capacity you're in. If you're incapacitated, attacked, mugged, taken in for questioning, none of those 4 things break your cover. You withstand cover scrutiny in any country